For over 50 years, the primary role for the MCSO Honor Guard is to provide funeral honors for fallen heroes and also serve as the guardians of the colors by displaying and escorting the national colors, state and city flags at ceremonial occasions. In this program, we will hear from past and present members of the Marion County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard, sharing their memories and personal feelings of being members of this distinguished team.
I came on the department January 1st, '63, and the Honor Guard, back then it was called the Color Guard, was established in April 1st, 1966. And at that time, Colonel Funk, F-U-N-K, Alva Funk, not to be confused with the later Colonel Funk, Robin Funk, but he's the one that formed it through Ronald Bryan. I think Ronnie was maybe a major back then, or a captain. And we got this memo saying we were appointed to the Color Guard, and it kind of says, good luck, your first appearance is 30 days from now for a Loyalty Day parade. So I can remember going to my house, you know, we got the leathers and we got the Marion County Sheriff flag. And with $500 from the jail commissary fund. And I can remember all of us going to my house down in the basement, and I put nails in the rafters in the ceiling, and we hung the leathers there and plastiluxed them. And that's how we got started. Then when the weather broke a little bit, when it got a little nicer, they were building I-65 then on the northwest side. And we would practice behind what is now Lafayette Square Shopping Center. So, you know, people would look out there and see, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 sheriff's cars parked with guys in civilian clothes marching up and down the interstate. But I always took a lot of pride in wearing the brown. You know, everybody's eyes are on you, and you want to make a good appearance. And that meant a lot. And you know, I just had a lot of respect for the other guys and, you know, for being a part of it. And I hear from a lot of people, you know, unfortunately, it seems like we have a lot more funerals where you guys participate now than during my time. But just reflect back on that, and I know how much it means to people to have you guys there. You know, just the presence of the uniform is very comforting to a lot of people. And, you know, I go to most of the funerals or callings because, you know, we're at that age where a lot of them are passing away. I'll tell you where it really hits me. You guys have been doing the Butler basketball game, pre-game presentation of colors for the last 3 years. And I'm a Butler grad, a great Butler fan. And I sat there in my seats, my season ticket seats. When you guys come out on the floor, there's a crowd of 10,000 people. It's so quiet you could literally hear a pin drop, and you guys walk out, and it's emotional to me sometimes to see that and realizing that I had a very small part in the beginning of that.
But I think my group was the first group that had the actual dress uniform, if I'm not mistaken, and that was something new for our department back then. And you know, whether we would be dealing with a family member of a slain officer or friends, etc. It was just such a pleasure to be part of that group because of the comfort that I believe that the Honor Guard offered family and friends, and the professionalism in which our training allowed us to to honor those that that gave all for this city and county. I was honored to be even asked but that was in my heart anyway, and I gladly did it. And although at the time I was in law school, you know, I was the SWAT team commander, so I was on call 24/7. So I had all kinds of different obligations, but I would never have given up the honor guard for nothing. If something else would have to, you know, give, I would not go to law school. But it certainly brings back the same feelings, the same emotions I had years ago. One time I can recall, former Sheriff Lee Eads attended one of the deputies' funerals, and I was standing honor guard by the casket, and he had a conversation with Deputy Chief Cook, and I noticed that Sheriff Eads was, you know, looking at me, and then later on, Chief Cook walks up to me and says, he says, 7-inch Lee Eads just walked up to me, and he said, "Now that's one sharp son of a gun." And so, you know, that made me proud, but I was one of several sharp son of a guns, and you know, that's just the pride we had in the way that we would honor officers, whether with our own department or with the city police agencies or state, or the times that we would actually go afar to different states or different cities to honor others. And I think by so doing, it just made the families, you know, feel so much better that their spouse or loved one was part of such an organization where they just love each other.
I absolutely loved being on the honor guard. We had a lot of fun. We also took it very serious. I remember when I was younger, my grandpa passed away, and the military did an honors funeral for him, and I'll never forget how loud and disrespectful I thought they were, and they were staging in the room next door. So every time I think about my grandpa's funeral, I think about that. So I wanted to make sure that no other family would think about an experience like that. So I made sure we were all very professional and took it very serious. I feel very honored and very privileged to be able to be a part of something like that. Any given day, it could be me down there. Every detail I did, I imagined myself being in the casket and my family and friends being the ones out there. And it's very humbling to be able to just stand up there when that person's no longer able to. And it just makes you appreciate life a little more and realize how fragile it can be. It's a lot of discipline. I mean, you have to understand, first of all, what the colors mean and what every little single detail means, and you have to know that everyone is watching you. Whenever you're standing up there, you're representing not only yourself, but the department, and you have to do that in a positive light. To be the only female, it makes it even more special, and I hope in the future that there are more females out there that can step up to that level and be a part of something that's great. Every detail, it seems like a little detail goes wrong, like somebody turned the wrong way or somebody made the wrong footstep, and it's just funny and frustrating at the same time to us because we're the only ones that know. Nobody else really realizes it. You will never feel more proud or more worthy, I guess, to be able to be a part of something that makes so much of a difference in different people's families and lives. Seems like we're doing something right, something that's lasted for 50 years. I feel privileged to be a part of that, and I hope that we have 50 more plus years ahead of us.
Well, when I first started with the department, I came on as a reserve in 2002, and I didn't even know what the Honor Guard was. I just wanted to do police work. I started out with Butler University and worked as a campus police officer there for about 2 years. Then I came over to the Sheriff's Department as a reserve, and it gave me my first taste of being able to actually work the street. So I was really encompassed in that, just wanted to learn as much as I could. And through that, I think there was a line of duty death either for IPD at the time. No, actually it was for the Sheriff's Department. I think it was Jason Baker. And even though I wasn't a part of that funeral, I got an opportunity to see what the Honor Guard actually does. And so from seeing that for the first time, it kind of sparked something in me that made me want to be a part of the Honor Guard. During the Butler's officer's funeral, I wasn't a member of the Honor Guard at that time, but James was a friend of mine. He actually replaced me when I left Butler. And so I went to that funeral as an officer, just attending that funeral and seeing how the Honor Guard handled themselves, and there were Honor Guards from all over the place that came together to represent James and his family. And so from seeing that, that made me really want to be a part of the Honor Guard. I'm still emotionally connected to that because James was a friend of mine. Seeing the paramilitary style of the department, that's one thing, but I think the Honor Guard takes it one step further. And so seeing that and wanting to be a part of that, I haven't had that, and I've yearned for that since I got out of the military. And so seeing that in others, not to say that everybody on Honor Guard is prior military, but seeing that on the Honor Guard, that was something that I wanted to get back into, wanted to be a part of. And so I think I hadn't seen that since I became part of the Sheriff's Department. And when I saw that, I was like, man, that's something I want to do. And I mean, it's amazing to me that we started with 6 individuals, and now we have a team of almost 20 individuals. And people have left, people have retired, and we've continued to get good people. And we continue to do the details just as well as we did, or that I've heard that we've done back then. I think back then we started with parades and just starting out with colors, to now we are grown to a 20-man team, and we're doing details that encompass the Indiana Sheriff's Association, where that team has grown to almost 100 members, and we're reaching out to all corners of the state. So I think that's huge. I've been the officer in charge of the Basic Academy at our training academy for probably the past 12 classes, with a couple of hit and miss. And so with that, it gives me an opportunity to kind of leave my mark on the department as a whole, because if I'm training these officers, then as they go to their respective assignments, then I feel like I've left my mark in one way or another. I feel the exact same way with the Honor Guard. As we train new members or we train members for ISA, if they're getting that from us, then we've left our mark throughout the state and throughout the department. I think there's a difference between just being in the audience or being in the procession, as opposed to being part of the actual detail. We're actually being the one who's rendering the honor, or the one who's folding the flag, or the last person to touch the flag. It means a great deal to me.
So for me, I saw the job posting and I applied for the position. What I wanted to be on Honor Guard for was because I wanted to have a chance to give back to those officers and their families. And when you first hear about Honor Guard, you're thinking, okay, it's all about in the line of duty deaths, and it's not. It's about other things. There's other funerals for retirees. There's funerals for active duty deaths and stuff like that. So you don't really know it until you do it, but it's rewarding for me personally inside to know that I was able to honor that officer or deputy, and to give back and to support his family. There's a lot of emotion that goes into it. You think about this officer and you think about this officer's family, and you can't help but think that, you have a family too. You're an officer. There was a particular officer that passed away from an accident. He was a Marion County Sheriff, and it was really emotional for me, first of all, being from my department, and then, seeing his family go through, that pain, and for us to be there and give him, our final salute to him, just gave me a sense of pride, something that I would want from my department. To be on the Honor Guard, everything has to be squared away. It has to make sure your creases are good, your uniform buttons and pins are all shined up, everything's in line. Shoes need to be shined up, everything needs to be in check. Honor Guard is very detail-oriented, so if you're a person that shows up for work late, that type of thing is not tolerated. So you not only, you have to have everything in line, but you also have to be dependable, you have to be respectful. Just basically show that you have pride in yourself and your department also. I know that every time I'm out there, I represent the Marion County Sheriff's Office, and I know that I represent them well, and I also take pride, I guess, in doing that as well. I have a great sense of responsibility for this department and for my own career, and I love to do this type of work. I love to do the Honor Guard. I'll sign up for every event that I can.
Approximately 1990, I was recruited I knew about the Honor Guard. Didn't know a whole lot about it, but I knew about it, or I knew it was there. And just one day they came and asked me if I wanted to be on the Honor Guard. Back then, they didn't really have a application process for it. They just went out and selected people. So I was asked to be on it, and I jumped on it right away. Been on it ever since. We only had like a handful of guys, and you know, we didn't really do a lot outside the department. If there was a line of duty death in another department that was close by, obviously we would help with that. But other than that, we didn't really do a whole lot. You know, now we've got 24 members. We're doing stuff all over the state. We're doing stuff in adjoining states. We have departments from other parts of the country contacting us because of our training and stuff that we do. You know, basically our name's out there. But I think that is the greatest honor of this job, is rendering honors to our heroes. That is, I think, the biggest thing that I take away from this, is honoring the heroes. You know, a lot of people think that you have to have a military background or, you know, something like that. I don't have a military background. When I first came on the team, I barely knew my left from my right. I would say the biggest thing that you have to remember is you have to keep your military bearing. And what I mean by that is when you're in front of a crowd and you're doing something, if something goes wrong, you don't let everybody else know that it's wrong. You just keep going. 9 times out of 10, the people watching you, they're not going to know the difference anyway. You know, and we always get the compliments after. You know, oh, you guys were great, and you know, the family loved it and everything else. And you know, those are nice, and you know, I guess that's part of the reason why we do it. But you know, it's ultimately we want the family to know how much we care and how much we want to honor their family member. So you know, we do it for them.